SOG Flash 1, the much beloved and much discussed EDC knife made popular by our friend Nud and Fancy. I guess it was finally time for me to get this knife and try it out. The way that this knife came to me is because I bought the SOG Blink. It was on sale at a store I went to, picked it up, brought it home. The knife broke very quickly, sent it back to SOG, and I asked to have a different knife returned to me. And this is what they gave me. When I purchased that knife, I was sort of interested in getting a smaller EDC, sort of taking things to more of an extreme, away from kind of a medium-sized EDC like the Delica. I was looking for something even smaller to see if I could, carry light and see how that would work. So I have carried this knife a little bit now, and to be perfectly honest, it is not really working for me. I prefer sort of a medium-sized EDC along the lines of maybe a Skyline, or also I've got a SOG Flash 2 here. I like light knives, of course, but I like knives that give you a bit of blade to play with here. I find that the Flash 1 is just a little too small for me. And the way that that I made that realization is I was at work one day, and I usually bring some fruit with me. I like to cut up my apple. It's just another way to use your knife in the course of the day. When you work in an office, you have to find pretty much every excuse to use your knife because it's not something that you do all the time. So I went to cut an apple up, and I just found that this blade, which is 2.5 inches incidentally, FFG, it had a difficult time just spanning the apple and making it through. I had kind of a tough time cutting up a piece of fruit with it. It's good for opening envelopes and things like that, maybe, or cutting a thread off a shoe or whatever. There's some tasks where that knife would be very suitable and just as good as something bigger. I've heard it said that a lot of your EDC tasks are sort of done with that first inch or two of the blade. So after that, it's really not that important to have a bigger knife. Maybe so, I don't know. But yeah, so it's a good knife if you're looking for something really small and really light. There's absolutely nothing that I can think of, except maybe a Dragonfly, which I don't have here. But a Dragonfly is basically just a smaller version of the Delica, smaller version of the Endura, just scaled way down. And I think that is around 2 ounces or less, something like that. This knife is 1.3 ounces, which is basically, I don't know, that's unheard of. This knife is, invisible basically when you're carrying it. You don't feel it at all, especially with that, very decent deep carry clip there. It basically disappears, and it's just totally unobtrusive. But like I was saying, I kind of like knives along this line. What I like the most about it is that this knife fills the hand, whereas the Flash 1 leaves something lacking. I don't have like the hugest hands in the world or anything like that. Maybe sort of average size man hands, but that knife, I don't like knives that do not fill my hand all the way. The fact of the matter is, you're not going to want to do a lot of work with this knife. If you're going to want to, if you have a lot of cutting chores in the course of the day, your hand is going to cramp up. This thing does not fill the hand. That's end of story. So I like something, here's the Flash 2, for example. It's a bit of a larger folder that I've got on the table here. I like something like this. I can grip it fully in my hand, and get some work done with this, and my hand is not going to feel like a 90-year-old man's afterwards. That's something that I really noticed when I had the Blink with me, is I sort of had it for one day, flicked it open, flicked it closed a little bit, and after that day, my hand felt like destroyed. I don't know, small knives, they just don't do it for me. I'm not saying that you need something along the lines of a Recon 1, like a lot of people would consider this to be overkill. I personally think this is a great knife, and I don't think it's too big at all. It just depends on what your sort of philosophy of use, POU, as Nud and Fancy would say, is. Okay, so let me show you this next to a Swiss Army knife, because I think that the blade size and the blade shape is sort of on par, more or less. You can see this is also an FFG. It's 2.5 inches as well, and it provides sort of the same functionality that the Flash 1 does. Of course, this is a Swiss Army knife, so that there's a variety of other tools in there. You know, you got the can opener, the corkscrew. There's all these different models, you know, and they all have like different things in them. Here's a secondary blade. This is a pretty cool knife. I got this in, where did I get this? I think I got this in Guanajuato, maybe? No, I got this in somewhere in Mexico. Anyways, let's put it that way. San Cristobal de las Casas, that's where it was. I got a red translucent for me, and I got a blue translucent and gave it to my girlfriend afterwards. Sick knives, and it's awesome to get a knife when you're on vacation because it has that memory for you afterwards. Here's also the Leatherman PS4. I did not get this on a special trip, but I still like it. Obviously the blade is a bit longer on the Flash 1, but not insanely longer. You know, anyways, I'm just trying to say that like the blade size on this sort of more or less approaches what you're going to get in a really small multi-tool or a Swiss Army knife. I might do a video in the future actually comparing sort of a dedicated folder versus a multi-tool or something like that, because obviously you get a lot more capabilities with something like this. I'll throw it in next to the Skyline by Kershaw. That's another fantastic knife. It's heavier than the Flash 1, there's no question about that, but not to an unreasonable extent. There's only one liner in there. This is a super duper knife. I really should carry this more actually. I put it in, I've got it in the knife drawer and I kind of forget how great it is, but it's a cool knife. And this is, I think that stacks up really nicely against the Delica. Like they're more or less similar size, similar weight, both great EDC options, and that sort of, I guess the Delica is more expensive, but yeah, those are awesome. And this is what I'm talking about when I say like a prime EDC. You know, maybe 2.5, 3-inch blade, 2.5, 3 ounce weight, and you know, it fills the hand. Again, look at that. There's something left over there. Same thing with the Delica. You know, fills the hand. There's something sticking out the other side. I don't feel arthritic when I handle it. The Flash 1 is, you know, look at the handle compared to the Delica. There's an extra inch or something on the Delica. The blade size is not dramatically longer on the Delica, but I just like how the handle gives you something to work with there. That's what it's all about for me. What else can I say about this knife? Just a few details here. So it is an assisted knife, so you just actuate that thumb stud, which is quite good actually. Thumb studs are not my favorite method of deployment, but depending on how they're done, they can work okay. These ones are really good actually as they go. It opens super fast. You know, for those of you out there that really like assisted knives, SOG has a lot of them. Here is the Flash 2 as well. And they open fast, they're easy to open. Cool. What else? So it's an FFG, that's a beloved grind of a lot of people. Just to sort of represent that again, here's the Skyline, and this is I believe this is hollow ground. So yeah, it's just a little different. I kind of like the FFG as well. It's just nice and thin, nice and simple, easy to wrap your head around, and good performance pretty much in everything that I can think of. So the blade material is AUS 8. You can see the SOG logo on there, and it says Flash 1. You know, this is AUS 8, and this blade is made in America. I read that somewhere, and that's cool. Inside the knife, there are no steel liners, so it's just a pure like Zytel, or I forget what they call this, but maybe FRN, whatever, plastic handle. The handle feels kind of cheap, honestly. That's one thing I will knock SOG knives for, is their knives, or sorry, generally speaking, their knives feel kind of cheap. And I think it's the handle that does it. You know, it's like there's nothing wrong with the blade. It's just FFG, AUS 8, good blade shape, sort of a drop point shape. But the handle, I don't know. I just think the handles are ugly, and you know, they're kind of thick, and just I don't know. They feel clumsy. Ergonomically, like they feel pretty good in the hand, like this one does, for example. It's got sort of a low to medium traction on it. Same thing with the Flash 1. You know, low to medium traction. And as a small knife goes, this is really not that bad. It kind of does lock into the hand fairly well. You can put a little bit of pressure downwards on it. Doesn't slip forward. It's not bad. The locking mechanism, I don't know what this is called, but it's kind of like a bolt lock or something like that, I guess. it seems adequately strong, I guess, for EDC, but what I don't like about it is when it's closed, you can just kind of like slide it around. It feels kind of sloppy to me. Speaking of slop, the blade kind of jiggles around there a little bit. It's got a little bit of up and down, side to side. Nothing, you know, really that bad. I haven't tried wrenching down on the pivot there, because last time I did that with this SOG knife, it blew apart and I had to send it back to the company. So unless it gets really bad, I'm just going to leave it alone, and that'll be that. You can actuate the safety when it's closed, and that way you won't be able to open the knife. It kind of sounds like nobody really does that, and I don't think it's necessary either. I leave mine the safety off all the time, and it's never popped open on me, so it's all good. What else? The pocket clip. Okay, so that's usually something that people refer to as a highlight on SOG knives, and I don't know. I guess it's one of the better features of the knife overall, and that's probably why people buy them. But I personally don't see a huge advantage over that clip when comparing it to something like the Spyderco clip. This is pretty much my standard. I think that it's completely acceptable to have like that much of the knife sticking out of your pocket. Like, I like to have something to grab onto when I'm taking it out. You can still get these ones out very easily, but, and you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that super deep carry, low profile is not the most important thing to me. I think most of the knives I have are, well, some of them anyways, are low profile. You know, this is not one of them. But yeah, the clip is not bad. I think people are right to sort of, you know, demonstrate that as a highlight. It's pretty good. So overall, you know, it's a decent knife. I think if you really want a small knife, a light knife, this is probably going to be your best bet. If, for example, the Delica is just too big for you, if that's the case, I don't even know why you're carrying a knife, honestly. But you know, if this is too heavy, you know, 2.4 ounces, then you've got this one, 1.3 ounces. It's nearly half the weight of the Delica, which is really amazing. Something I've talked about in some other videos is blade length to weight in ounces, the ratio of that. If the blade length in inches is higher than the weight in ounces, you've got a very efficient design, and that's something I'll say about this as a highlight. It's very efficient, the design of this. It's super light for the package that you're getting. 2.5 inch blade, 1.3 ounce knife. I don't think there's any knives out there that could match that ratio or surpass it. I could be wrong on that, but I'm sure I haven't heard of any that you know, are more efficient than this. You know, the one thing I'll just say is, for me, it's too small. I like something like this. So I actually prefer something. This is pretty much my perfect size VDC, sort of 3.5 inch blade, you know, less than 4 ounces. Perfect for me. And this is a knife that fills the hand, gets the job done, you know. And I'm certainly not opposed to going to a larger knife either, like the Recon One. This is really not that heavy considering what you're getting back, and it's super tough. And I mean, look at this too. Like, there's a lot sticking out the other end there that you can do stuff with. So yeah, the Flash One, good knife, just not a favorite knife of mine. Thanks for watching.